On your Thursday episode of Locked On Raptors, the only thing better than a last-second game winner is a last-second game winner with some juicy narrative synergy.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Thursday, November the 27th. Happy Thanksgiving to our American listeners out there. I know there are a few of you little freaks down there. And it's, I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram. You can join us in the Locked On Raptors Discord server. Link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join as always. And today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. And we will get started here on a Thursday edition of the show, breaking down a 97-95 NBA Cup victory for your Toronto Raptors over the Indiana Pacers on Wednesday night. The Raptors moved to 4-0 in NBA Cup group play. They will host a quarterfinal at least in a couple weeks' time. It's all very exciting. And the sort of big thing, obviously, from this game is the game winner by Brandon Ingram over Pascal Siakam. We will get into that. We will get into this team just finding ways to win, whether it's ugly, whether it's pretty, no matter what the case seems to be. They just keep on pulling out these dubs. We got the good, the bad, and the coming up later on as well, of course. But we, of course, must bring in today's guest, which every Thursday, as you know, is Katie Heindl. Katie, how the hell are you?
I'm good, buddy. I feel like your energy today is like every time you hit a high, my light just kind of flickers. So you're like going through. You're like some type of good poltergeist.
I would love. I'm going to change that my name on the screen here to the Good Poltergeist once I get a chance to go and do some back end production on the show. Katie, the Raptors, holy
Yes.
boats!
What a great
really
game.
fun game. Yeah, just like an absolute blast. Look, they played like crap for the most part. Did not play a very good start to finish basketball game. We'll get into how they managed to come back. The 22-0 run in the middle of the game that was kind of the reason they pulled it out in the end. But we got to start, of course, at the end where Brandon Ingram is the game winner over Pascal Siakam from about 18 feet. He gets blocked. Siakam does on the other end of the floor by his old pal, Jakob Poeltl, just to add to the narrative juiciness of this whole thing. And then Ingram, the guy who ostensibly the Raptors turned Siakam into via many circuitous trades, hits the game winner. They don't call a timeout. He just sizes him up. And the post-game quote from Brandon Ingram, very cold. I don't know if you've seen it, but he was asked about what he saw in that possession with Siakam guarding him. He said, I knew he was in foul trouble and he didn't want to be overly aggressive. And at that point, or he was at my mercy at that point, which just like kind of a wild thing to say. There's like an audible gasp in the media room when he said it, because it was just like, oh, damn, that was a bar. Katie, holy crap, that was a lot of fun. And of course, you know, the sort of through line of the Siakam trade sort of coming full circle a little bit. It's not like the be-all, end-all. It'd be nice to see these two teams play when the Pacers are at full strength with Tyrese Halliburton next season and all of that. But, just like a very, very rich and juicy text this game was, specifically at the end with Ingram pulling that off.
Yeah, I will say there were times where I was just like, oh, no, has everything fallen apart? Like, are we back to this? And then I was like, have faith in yourself. And just believe in the city, believe in yourself.
The spirit of Messiah lives strong.
Really. As for the Brandon Ingram, I didn't think that was like that cold. In a way, I was like, well, it's quite accurate.
True. Yeah.
He just came right out and said it in a very direct way. Man, I feel for the Pacers, baby.
Oh, yeah.
That's like my biggest takeaway of this game. And that the Raptors, I think, had the energy, because you could see that the Pacers were like, all right, we're just going to pick these guys, and with TJ McConnell leading them, right, we're just going to pick these guys up full, if not like immediately in the half court, and we're going to try and, you know, we can't beat them at that game, but we can really tire them out. And it worked. I think it really did work for about 2 quarters.
Yeah,
I'd say the second, Tabor second, no, probably just the first and second, because then the Pacers had a real scoring drought. It just showed, I think, that there are more than one ways for this Raptors team to win. I think it's kind of a wild thing that you and I were talking about how poor the defense looked maybe 2 weeks ago. And now that's also has turned a corner ostensibly. So it's cool. It's all around. I think that was like a good summation of how far this team has come just even in this season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it more on their sort of capacity to win various type of games, but this is what good teams do, right? It's like, all right, things aren't clicking. We'll get into the lack of RJ Barrett and how that's being felt on the offensive end. Things don't look quite as crisp as they did, but you just kind of find a way to pull it out. And I mean, this is why you get Brandon Ingram, right? He is really good at just creating something from nothing. And look, there was plenty of stuff down the stretch where they maybe force-fed Ingram a little bit. This has been a through line of the Raptors' crunch time offense and just sort of their crunch time play over the course of the year is they defend extremely well. They force feed Ingram quite a bit, and usually he's going to figure it out. Sometimes he'll have little spells where he doesn't hit anything, but they're able to get enough stops the other way and kind of set Ingram up on the pedestal to go get something done when it's most needed. And that was, I think, very much the script last night as well. Just like it's really cool having a dude you can just kind of toss it to say, hey, like this is the time to go do the thing. This is not a thing the Raptors have had at their disposal in recent years, and it's nice to have a chance in crunch time again, Katie. It's thrilling. What's going on in the background there?
Oh, sorry. When we have our first break, George is really going to town on his fish, his fish chew.
That's fair enough. So it's all right, George. Go.
Usually I take it away, but he's found it. And he likes to chew it specifically when I'm talking into my computer. I don't know why.
Well, now that we've illuminated what the sound is for the audience, and they can't complain about it, it'll be dealt with.
George is a dog.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way,
people get really mad when their audio isn't perfect, pristine, clear, and crisp. It's it's their whole thing. Back to the sort of full circle nature of this game being decided by Brandon Ingram and also Jacoby Walter, who was fantastic, got the sort of unprompted shout out by Darko Rajakovic after the game when he was kind of going through the stuff he liked from the game, just sort of out of nowhere was like, also, I got to shout out Jacoby Walter, who was really, really good playing two-way basketball, which is very true. Those are the two guys, plus Ochai Agbaji, the Raptors got in exchange for Pascal Siakam and all the trades later. You just yesterday, Katie, in Basketball Feelings, hosted a piece from a Shakespearean scholar about this NBA season so far. Are you upset that the Ingram shot over the guy who the Raptors traded him ostensibly for was not done before that piece it got published hit on it? That's words. Yeah.
Well, hopefully Matthew Harrison, Dr. Matthew Harrison, who I did get to contribute, would be willing to come back, because as we've seen in this ongoing NBA season, there's no shortage of Shakespearean-esque instances of ends. And I will say that first set was mostly centered on humiliation and like malpractice and tragedy. So I'm kind of glad, yes, the Raptors weren't included in that part.
Yeah, we'll save it for part 2 on the comedy side of Shakespeare's lore.
Of like in a more serious way, though, I will say I think it just speaks to, I think, a maturation of the Raptors timeline, if you want to call it that, for lack of a better word, right? And I think, I know I'm bad at this. Like being a fan in general can make you bad at this. It can be tough in Toronto sports. And I think with the Raptors, you kind of cling to these past like highs and glimmering moments, right? And I think something like that, yes, obviously quite symbolic, in the literal sense of what was happening.
Frankly,
it's
very on the nose by the writers, like a little bit too much. Like, like scale it back. You could use a little more subtlety. Yeah.
But I think sometimes we actually need less subtlety in that sense of like, this is us now leapfrogging ahead into the next, like, these are not those Raptors. This is an entirely new team. And we would all be better to reckon with them as is rather than comparison points back to the past. And like, I will hold myself to that account too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have been someone who, for a long time, was pretty indignant over the way the Pascal Siakam trade happened, and there are still parts of it that I think were really dumb and bad. Particularly the sort of alienation of a franchise icon before trading him and all of that. But yeah, I think at this point, how can you not be thrilled about where things have ended up? It's awesome for Pascal that yes, it's a gap year for the Pacers, but they're going to be just fine. They have Tyrese Halliburton. They just made the finals. And, again, I look very much forward to these teams hopefully clashing in the future at full strength to kind of see them go tete-a-tete. I mean, that's, these things play out over many years. And I think that's, I think I've always talked about on the show is like, basketball narrative storylines, they don't just happen in the sort of course of a single season. They are things that play out over many, many years and sort of add layers and get more sort of fulsome as time goes on. And I think this is one of those things. Like, this will be a notch in the sort of Siakam Ingram vortex of Raptors history, and there will be more of those moments to come. And it's very cool. And I'm sure Siakam at some point will get his one up on the Raptors and all of that, and it will be great because we like the sports and the stories they tell us. Katie, we're going to come back on the other side, get into again, the Raptors just finding ways to win nasty. It's not been pretty the last couple times out, but they just keep on doing it. We will talk about that. And of course, we got the good, the bad, and coming up later on as well, as Katie is going to go and accost her dog. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA is back and rolling, and there's no better place to get into the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Maybe you're someone who watches NFL football and you're sitting around all day eating turkey or whatever. Maybe you're not doing that because you're in Canada. Maybe you're like me and sometimes you just eat like a heathen on Thursday of Thanksgiving because, you want to be like your American counterparts. I don't know. You're watching football all day. You want to throw some money down on the games, maybe a parlay across all the games throughout the day. Maybe you're just a Lions fan who wants to bet on them to win and or lose. It's all there for you to go peruse on the very easy to use FanDuel app. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back at it here with Katie Heindl as we continue to break down a thrilling 97-95 win for your Toronto Raptors, who have won 9 in a row, Katie. It's crazy. 9 in a row. They're 14-5. The Pistons lost last night, by the way. So that one
I know.
Getting a little bit closer, losing to the Celtics. Nasty, nasty work.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Hopefully the Raptors will not be there when they play them a couple times in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, nice to sort of reel in the Pistons a bit at the top of the Eastern Conference, because that's the things. These are our first world problems right now, Katie, is worrying about seeding in the top 3 of the East. Boy, how far things have come. You wanted to, I think, get into the Raptors' capacity for coming back when things ain't going so hot. I will give you the floor, Katie. What were your sort of takeaways on how the Raptors weathered not playing very well in this basketball game to get the victory?
I wish everyone could see how sad George looks right now. Just scratching his little head. He's so inconsolable. But your audio quality is improved. I hope you're all happy.
Yeah, you freaks. Hope you sleep well at night.
Well, I will say, okay, so I will say watching this game, there was a stretch where, yes, as you pointed out, they were not playing particularly well. Things looked like they were coming off the rails a bit. And I think it's really important to point out the Pacers are not last because they're bad.
Yeah.
They're very close in all of these games, which I think is probably what for them is even the more frustrating thing, right? To be that close and not blown out every night. But there was a moment when it just seemed like that experience, I think, I think Jack pointed this out on the broadcast of like going from the finals to a game 7, right? And getting all the way through the postseason. Like that stacked up against these Raptors last night in a game like that where, yeah, things looked a bit frazzled at times. We were kind of fraying. There were like, the turnovers were picking up a little bit. Like the speed was becoming sort of a problem. You could see those two kind of coming head to head. And I had a moment where I was like, oh no, this is where experience does beat out what do you want? Like experience beats out experiment, if we're still calling that what the Raptors are trying to do.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened.
Yeah.
They were able to come back, kind of chip away at the lead. A few crucial. It is a big difference of having Brandon Ingram on the team, that he can just knock down a few crucial 3-pointers and kind of get you out of that hole a little bit quicker. And then they were able to also turn the tables on the Pacers and take advantage of all the turnovers that they started to have. And I think really almost pressure them in that scoring drought, which was very long, from the fourth minute of the second quarter into almost 8.
They went 7 minutes and 12 seconds without a point, and nearly 8 minutes without a basket. They had one free throw that sprinkled in there.
So I think they were really able to take advantage of that. And then closing the game.
Yeah.
Also, this is something that I think has been a real problem, not just for Toronto, but for teams on this trajectory, to be able to close a game, to hang on to a lead, to not have things kind of fall apart. And again, that's where you see the experience, of Brandon Ingram being able to kind of meet the moment and take those shots that he did. But I was really impressed. And our friend Keeks had a great stat, as you pointed out, that this was it last season's team was 2 for 24.
No, 2 and 45.
2 and 45. Okay, my bad. I was too generous in terms of comeback wins. And this Raptors team is already 5 and 5. So it's an even split, but it is really heartening. And I think every time they do that, they're going to understand better how to win.
100%. Yeah, it's all. And I asked Darko last night kind of about. Does he feel like they're getting every team's best shot now that they're kind of racking up the wins? And he didn't really answer that question specifically, but he did go into the sort of reality of every win is very hard to come by. As much as we'd love to see them dance on every single team and win by 25 every night, especially against opponents that are, further down to the standings as the Pacers are. Though, again, I think that is a byproduct of them being super duper injured. Now they're just kind of super injured and have a few guys back. And, Nembhard's back and playing well, and Siakam's there, and Matherin's in. They're not as destitute as they were when they were really in the deep, dark spell where they were 1-11 or whatever it was. But yeah, I think it is, I think, a good thing to remind yourself that, in this league of parity where every team has talent, every team is good, the Pacers in particular are extremely well coached by Rick Carlisle. It's not like you're just going to go walk into a guaranteed win night every single time you're up against a team with a lesser record. And the fact that they can keep on pulling these wins out, and they're doing it in all kinds of ways, right? They're blowing bad teams out. They're winning close games against bad teams and not losing the rope, even when it seems like it's slipping. These are all hallmarks of sustainably good basketball teams. And I think it's telling that they're able to kind of do this stuff ugly. A thing that's been really impressive to me, Katie, and was again last night, is their crunch time defense. Their defense has been very good on the whole for the last month or so. We're going to talk at length about the defense tomorrow with Joe Wolf on to kind of figure out exactly why they're so damn good at getting them stops. But crunch time in particular, Katie, they are just absolutely smothering, and it's become a weapon for them in a way that, crunch time defenses of the past have been a hallmark of this team. I think of the 2019-20 team where, their offense wasn't amazing late in games, but it didn't have to be because they gave up 70 points per 100 possessions in clutch situations on defense. So far this year, the Raptors have the second best clutch defense in basketball, 82.7 defensive rating across 26 clutch minutes. They're 7-2 in clutch games, which NBA.com defines as within 5 points, under 5 minutes to play. And we saw it again last night. The Pirtle block. There was a big Scottie, stop at the rim as well. And yeah, the offense wasn't terribly pretty, but sometimes, and this is sort of a throwback to the Dwayne Casey era, right? I think there was a lot of consternation at times when those teams would play sort of very ISO heavy late game basketball, play through DeMar. But that's kind of what works in these situations too. It's low turnover, it's low risk, and you're putting the ball in the hands of the best guys at getting shots off. And eventually, if you couple that plus enough stops, you're going to scrape by. And they did that last night. And it's, I think a testament to the team being legitimately good that they're able to pull out these wins when they clearly don't have it. They shot 5 of 26 from 3 in this game, Katie. and still pulled it out. 3 of their 5 threes came from one guy over the course of one stretch of the game. It was that 22-0 run that really was the reason why they did not kind of get wiped off the floor in this one. We'll come back on the other side, Katie. I want to get into the good, the bad, and and I mostly just want to vent about how irritating it is to watch TJ McConnell do bad things to my basketball team. We'll do that in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by DoorDash, and it's a wonderful time to be on DoorDash because the NBA season is rolling, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights of your fantasy team or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every game night even better. And DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player drops 50 in a game, which happens all the time if you weren't aware, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking to player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you're actually going to want all in that wonderful ultimate fan bag when the players around the league drop 50 points in a game. So next time someone goes off for 50 in a game, use the promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to 10 days, the day after a 50-point game with promo code. Terms apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashinYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Wrapping things up here with Katie Heindl with the good, the bad, and the It's how we wrap up every single episode of this here podcast on the heels of Toronto Raptors basketball game. A thing we like, thing we didn't like, things got a little intrigued. I lost it at the end. I've been really working on my auctioneering, Katie. Yeah, I'm too tired to have done it today. It was a sleepless night with the boy. And so I failed to get it over the finish line. But a thing we liked, thing we didn't like, thing that's got us a little intrigued from the latest in Raptors hoops. Katie, I will turn it over to you. What you got for your good?
Unfortunately, my good is TJ McConnell.
No!
I think we've really discussed at length everything we liked about that Raptors game. It was a feel-good game, which is, I think, why it feels okay to pick TJ McConnell as the good, as my good.
Sure.
Yeah, I know you'll be, this is great. This is like a debate society. You can do the rebuttal. I think he really is like the hope that team needs. He did keep them alive. He basically single-handedly turned things around last night for them. It didn't work because there's other people on that team. If you had an entire team of TJ McConnells, you'd be set. But I root for that guy.
Sounds like my nightmare, but yeah.
Great. A dream for me. I root for him. He's a good dude. And just to see him doing this still, like, not to be like, oh, he's so old. I just mean like for the value of a role player.
He's not young.
I know he's not young, but I don't mean that like to lean on that trope. Like, I don't mean like, oh, he's long in the tooth and it's crazy he can still do this. I just mean like, this is what he's made his career out of, right? Totally. Like these specific skills and the pressuring, and like feasting on turnovers, forcing turnovers, just like really frenetic cuts and like run to the rim and just like you could see him like, gassing up Ben Shepherd and just like physically like hitting his teammates in the back. Just like, I love to watch that stuff. Jack said on the broadcast, he's the straw that stirs the drink for the Pacers right now. And I just thought, well, yeah, what an apt way to put it, but it's great when you win against him, and it's great when you win against him and you can still see him do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll get to my bad, which is TJ McConnell in just a second. But my good, I'm going with Scottie Barnes, living at the free throw line, which is a thing that he's not always done this season. Part of it is maybe he's not getting the benefit of the doubt on the whistles. Some of it's he's just like not in position to get a whole bunch of free throws. But last night, just kind of taking it to the Pacers, realizing, hey, I can kind of back at anybody I want. And once that happens, they're liable to foul me before I can score. And then not just getting to the line 14 times, but hitting every single one of them, Katie, a really big deal. They win the game by 2 points. They do not win this game by 2 points if Scottie Barnes has like an average night from the line, which like he's a pretty good free throw shooter. He's like a near 80% free throw shooter. That's great. But yeah, really just, the kind of easy offense this team sorely needed last night. And it was a real pillar of what they were able to accomplish, getting the line 14 times. My bad is, being on the receiving end of TJ McConnell nonsense. That self-orchestrated comeback where he comes in. The Raptors seemingly have kind of supplanted the Pacers as the team that's clearly going to win the basketball game after that 22-0 run. And then McConnell goes, haha, no, it's like the finals all over again. And I'm going to put up 16, 7, and 6 in 24 minutes and be a plus 19 in a game we lose by 2. Very normal stuff. It's truly maddening. Dancing with, just like putting Brandon Ingram on skis, running by him, reverse finishes, the stupid mid-range shot. Just make him shoot threes all the time, I guess. 0-4 from 3. The only time I ever feel like he's missing is when he's shooting from 3. If he rises up from mid-range, that thing's going in, and it's exhausting. And, to sort of give Jacoby Walter more flowers for his excellent game, he had a stop on an attempted reverse finish by McConnell underneath the basket late that I was frankly shocked by, because no one stops TJ McConnell when he says, I'm going to score, but Jacoby Walter does, and that is why he got the shout out from Darko Rajakovic. He is Darko's special little boy for that reason. Katie, what was your bad from this game?
My bad was watching Gradey smash his head against the ground. I was a bit worried they weren't actually going to take him back as expeditiously as they did wind up doing, because he hung back. He did get back in transition. Obviously, he's like feeling quite woozy. You could hear it. You could hear the smack.
Yeah. I didn't actually see it happen, but I heard it happen.
Yeah.
That's telling.
Which is the worst. But they did. He sat and they pulled him into the back, and he didn't return. I haven't heard anything more. I don't know if you have, in terms of whether he's in. Oh, is he in concussion protocol?
Darko said he seemed like he was doing great after the game, which is encouraging. They took him out for those protocols and precautions, but he was flexing in the post-game picture just fine. So
good.
Seems like things might be all right with.
I mean, I appreciate the aggressiveness, right? And that wanting to go up for that, was it a contest, or he was trying to get?
He was trying to get an offensive rebound.
Yeah. So I appreciate the aggressiveness of that, and I think it is in lockstep with what the team's trying to do. But man, it sucked to see.
Yeah. Typically a guy who, we've seen him do backflips over cars on TikTok, right? Maybe that's stating it a little too extremely, but it feels like I've seen him back over a moving car. Tough to see him kind of take a spill like that. It was horrifying. Watching back replay, not pretty. But hopefully he's doing all right. I'm sure we'll hear more today on his status going forward. A couple days off here for the Raptors before they play on Saturday in Charlotte. Katie, what you got for me?
My all-inness on the NBA Cup.
Yeah, we love it. Cupheads, all of us.
I like it in abstract because I often forget when the games are on, unless I'm literally doing an NBA event to talk about them. Then I'm like, oh, it's a cup night. But otherwise, it's always a treat to watch basketball. I'll be like, oh, the floor. I love all the courts. They're obscene. They should keep them all year round.
Do you like the uranium court in Minnesota?
Yeah, I love how it makes people's faces glow green when they're standing beside it. It's crazy.
An entire court where everyone looks sick. It's great.
It's wonderful. So I knew I liked that part of it. I knew I liked the aesthetics, I'll say. But I have never found a reason to buy into it, because why? But I actually think the Raptors are taking advantage of what I think it can be genuinely good for, which is the runway that it can offer teams at this stage in their development, right? And their competitive
100%.
Identity, which is to make some noise, make a run early on in the season. And it's perfectly paired with where the Raptors seem to be, right, on their own. I don't think their wins have anything to do with the cup. I just mean they've synced them up perfectly with the cup's timing. And it's going to be it'll be whatever. It's going to be cool to have that quarterfinal game in Toronto.
Totally.
It'll be fun.
This is the thing. Single elimination basketball, no matter the circumstance, is great and awesome and the best form of the sport. Even if it's contrived and, sort of created 3 years ago, it's great. And Look,
And you know what? If they win, they will celebrate, and they're not going to be scared of being made fun of, which was what happened to the Bucks last year, which is on its own, an awful thing. Like, let people celebrate, let them have fun.
Yeah.
But the Raptors would.
Yeah. Respect the cup, respect its meaning. And I say this, people say respect the cup jokingly. I actually think like the only way the cup will continue to build in terms of like importance and everything is if people actually do buy into, oh, this is actually fun and cool and good. And I think the players care. They seemingly have a little more juice for these games. The games have been tight. And over time, this has always been the thing. No, not from day one are people going to be like, I got to win the cup. But over time, it becomes important. Lore gets built up. And it becomes this launch pad, like you said, for young up and coming teams. And it's awesome. We love the cup. Unironically here, it's fantastic. My very quickly, because I know you got to go, Katie, is the last two games without RJ Barrett, the offense looking kind of butt. Two of their worst offensive games of the season. Last night, their worst offensive game of the season by offensive rating, by half-court offensive rating, all of that stuff. It was one of their lowest transition frequency games last night, too. Missing RJ Barrett, like they are missing that sort of side-to-side, both sides of the floor can burn you element where, when it comes to RJ Barrett off of a, double team for Barnes or Ingram on the other side of the floor, it's just this like display of force and power and rim pressure that they just don't quite have right now. When Walter's hitting his threes, it works great. But when it's not happening, it's a little bit less of a sort of balanced attack. And it's more like someone who only lifts dumbbells with one arm. And it's like a little bit, there's a bit of imbalance there. But also the last two games, two of their best defensive games of the season. Last night, their best defensive game of the season by the numbers. Just interesting. The two of their 5 worst offensive games, 2 of their 5 worst defensive games without RJ Barrett. I don't know what it means. Maybe it means nothing. Who's to say? But that's why we have the at the end of the show. Katie, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
You already mentioned it, but yes, I had a Shakespearean scholar guest at Basketball Feelings this week, and I gave him 6 scenarios, the most dramatic seeming to me scenarios in the NBA thus far, and he matched them or paralleled them with either characters or Shakespeare works, and it was pretty perfect, I have to say.
That's basketball feelings in the feelings as like deeply as possible. It's great stuff. Go subscribe. Give Katie your money. It's fantastic. I'm
having a Black Friday sale right now. 40% off annual subscriptions to Basketball Feelings. You get 8 newsletters a month and 2 podcasts a month. Sam Vecini was on the last one. We talked a lot about the NBA draft. Surprise.
Go subscribe to Basketball Feelings. Do it now. You can find me on socials. I'm on Blue Sky, Instagram, where I'm posting lots of clips because that's what you're supposed to do when you have a podcast in 2025, I guess. And you can also join the Discord, link in the description of the podcast. 100% free to join. We'd love to see you become part of our listener community. And we'll leave it there. We'll talk to you again on Friday with Joe Wolf on as we talk deeply about the Toronto Raptors defense and what the hell's going on there. We'll be back again then, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye.
Damn it.